Hello, namaste, and welcome to this Sunday special live episode. You can ask me any questions on Sattology, debunking mythology. I am very grateful to all of you for liking our shows, subscribing to our channel, and I know we take up very offbeat topics. Popularity is the last thing on our mind, but all our content is referenceable. You can go and check it out in the past. Fewer than 10% videos have been made on current affairs, but rest of the 90% of the content is based on history and connected to Vedas and Mahabharata and Ramayana. So today is one of those episodes which many of you asked me, many of the private messages I received from most of you asking about Russia's history. And you can also check out my book if you search Sattology on Amazon or Barnes and Nobles, or in India, you can check it out with Prabhat Prakashan as well as Kapot. And Kapot and Prabhat Prakashan are working together for my books in India. So you can ask Sandeep Deoji, and he will tell you more information about my books in India. And I'm grateful to you, and I'm also looking forward for you coming to San Diego in uh, August. Those of you who are in the US, come to San Diego. You'll see many of the authors who come on Sattology coming to that show, Litfest we have. It's called Krishna Litfest. So before we begin today, I'll have to take you back into the history. See, understand one thing. When we have to have the research based on a documented praman, like the Shabda praman, which is mentioned in Ramayana or Mahabharata or Purana, because many of those books, uh, very sacred books, Vedas and Purana. Purana is very important because you don't understand Veda without Purana. Impossible. Including the context of Vedanta Sutra, you cannot understand. I'm talking about common people like me, not everyone else. There are some people who are more spiritually advanced than me and they can understand, but I cannot understand. That's a problem with me. But generally speaking, cannot understand, and therefore Vedanta Sutra is summarized into Bhagavad Puran. Now, Bhagavad Puran gives a lot of information, and you can verify that by going to the original Vedic text also, sometimes in Rig Veda, sometimes in Sam Veda, sometimes in Yajur Veda, sometimes in Atharva Veda. And I am turning the pages for my new book of all these different Vedic Vedas, and I am finding no controversies, no kind of contradictions also, because when you look at from a perspective of Shukdev Goswami or from the perspective of disciples of Vyasdev, Lomosh, Vaishampayan, or different disciples who are following in that lineage down to the Ramanujacharya, Adi Sankaracharya, and Nimbarka Swami, Vallabhacharya, which is known as Vallabhacharya, then you see a very continuous line of thought. And it doesn't matter if there are some words here and there which can be a little bit slightly different, then you have to go for the context of those words which are mentioned somewhere else. Speaking about Russia, now Russia, if you look at towards the west of Meru Parvat, is called Bhadrashva, and north of Meru Parvat immediately is Uttar Kuru, and the Neel and the three mountains there, which are Neel. So I'll tell you the name: Til, Shintwan, and one more mountain is there. Let me just read my notes because I'm sharing my notes. This is very technical matter. So if you look at the movement of Ganga, where especially the branch known as Sita, which goes to Kesarachal, and from Kesarachal, then the Madan, then to the land of Bharatvarsha, Bhadrashva, Bhadrashva, which is towards the west. Okay, so when we talk about it, is Sita to Brahma Sadana Kesarachal Radir Giri Shekhara Atha Prasravanti Gandhamadan Urdarsu Prativantarena Badashvashena Pachyam Dishi Shara Samudra Pravruchiti. Now, why I'm not showing you this shloka? I read it from just now. And I'm not showing you this shloka because, for the simple reason, it still won't make sense for many of you, the references. So I'm going to translate it easy. So when the Ganga comes down to earth, Mother Ganga, she comes, Shivji holds it, and only one stream comes out from his head, and that stream falls on Meru Parvat, and that one stream divides into four parts. So one is Sita, one name, the branch which is known as Sita flows towards the west, and that is Sita is also name of Ganga, and Alaknanda, eh, and Alaknanda goes to the uh, Alaknanda Chakshu Bhadra. So Alak Chakshu falls to Malevan and goes to Ketumal Varsha and reaches the ocean in the west. So two rivers go towards the west. Okay, one is goes to Sita and one goes known as Chakshu. And the Bhadra goes towards the north, which goes towards the north of Meru, and Kumud, Neel, Shweta, Shringavan in succession. So Kumud is the closest one, Neel, Shweta, Shringavan, and then goes to the province of Kuru, and then flows into saltwater ocean in the north. Okay, so this is what we are going to focus on, Bhadra. And another branch of Alaknanda, which goes south of Meru and goes to different lands and finally crosses Hemakuta, Himakuta, two separate words, Hemakuta, Himakuta, and then goes into Bharatvarsha. Bharatvarsha is south of Himakuta, and then goes into and we all know in South in India it is known with different names, Jahnavi, and there are many names of Ganga are there today, and which is very normal because most of the Bhagirathi, Jahnavi, these names are given based on the pastimes or Leela. Now, pastime doesn't mean English words are very incomplete. So when you say pastime doesn't mean that you are just there to waste your time. Pastime means a specific incident occurred or story. World loves stories. Let me tell you interesting, something very interesting. One time my guru told me that we all should work to achieve the best, but we should pray that that somebody else can do better than me. Prayer should be like that, but we should try our best. That creates a healthy call it attitude, and also it uh, prevents you from competing against knowledge, Veda, because the culture of Veda is built on humility and sharing. That is the culture of Veda. In other cultures, knowledge and proving that you're better than the others, that is the problem, because then you create fake news, which is happening all over the world. Especially the academics in the West are busy perpetuating the lies of the people who give them money. This is what is going on. This is reality of the thing right now. So this is the Ganga. This is how the Ganga flows through, and I am taking that cue and now building a story for us based on current findings. You'll be shocked to see that so much research, so much historical evidences have come. And I'll tell you, start from the beginning, from the year 1850. 1850, and then 1896, 1896, 1850, 1902, 1910, 1915, 1938, 1944, 1945. You all know what is 1945 happened. Okay, and 1952, 53, 57, 58. There are more than 1,000 extraction of Hindu deities in the Volga region of Russia and the Volga River Russia basin. You know, Keeping aside the politics of today, the fact of the matter is that there are intrinsic connections of the entire Mongolia, Eastern Russia, Central Russia, and Central Asian states to Vedic culture, which they cannot refuse. And as India becomes more financially capable, and I'm sure one day the Indian Foreign Office will take these evidences and ask their embassies to work on these issues or fund these researches. And I also would like to request all the private businesses to work with us to extract these places and put them in a prominent location. I'll tell you one example. When I visit South America, or I am now visiting touring the US also, many cities, you'll see many videos coming out on Sattology. And you will be shocked to know that to propagate a lie, you have to make facilities very modern, and still you may attract very few tourists. But when you preserve an ancient monument, then people automatically flock to it, because ancient places are the places of heart. Those places are our history, not somebody else's history. You may have a new faith today, but that land has been existing below before your faith, current faith. The land, and the oldest culture of the world is Sanatana Dharma. It's like from the beginning of creation, that is Sanatana Dharma. You can call it by different names like Hindu culture, Sanatana Dharma. Many names are there which you can put it there. And the worst thing that you can call is the Western University epithet of pagans or shamanism, which is the almost an insult to self, because everyone came from there. Genghis Khan was not a Buddhist, was not an Islamic person, was neither a Buddhist. Genghis Khan was a shaman or a Hindu. Shaman means people who follow the culture of the land or nature, which is Hindu. Very basic definition of Hindu. Or Sanatan Dharma, or the Vedic culture. Remnants, not the pure, remnants. Because the original culture is lost with the passage of time. So if somebody says, I find these words very common, I don't do a research based on language, because languages are local, and many, because there are few sounds available. Phonetics is a limited space, you know, and the most complete phonetic space is represented by Devanagari. Devanagari is the most complete script of writing phonetics onto the piece of paper. No other language can do that. No other script can do that. So so therefore I don't get into the language base that this sounds like this, and this must be the origin of this. That becomes that doesn't appeal me. Is maybe right for many people, but it doesn't, not the way I work. I follow the evidences of mountains and rivers, because that is more conclusive. Therefore, in today's show, I am talking about Ganga, because the flow of Ganga is extremely scientific, and nearly all the rivers in all the continents follow a similar pattern, and they all appear to come on earth at the same time. And this is a point of, some of you must research on this, but in my new book I'm going to cover that. So I'm not disclosing the content of my new book, so that you guys read properly, not because I want to create suspense here. And so the rivers, all the rivers in the world, the major source of life on this earth is by the rivers and underground water. Underground water means in under the ground rivers flowing, like Mother Saraswati. Saraswati River flowing across India, going to the west, going to the east, and appearing at multiple places, even in the desert of Rajasthan. Some tributaries of Saraswati River go to the ocean, which is Sindhu Sagar. Sindhu Sagar is the name of Arabic Ocean. It should be changed actually, because there is no Arabia over there. Why should India have the Arabian water? Arabia is far away. So it should be Sindhu Sagar. Sindhu Nadi is there. Sindhu Sagar. Sindhu Sagar. And then and the water which is coming on the west coast, on the Saraswati water tributary is going to the towards the east, merge into Ganga. We all know where they merge. Sangam, Prayagraj, Sangam, Tirtha. People can visit over there. Now, similar way, I'm going to follow the path of Ganga in the eastern side of, on the western side of Mount Meru, and we will go through Bhadrashva Vash, and that is called the region. So I'll share my screen. So understand one thing: if you have questions, you can ask me towards the end of the show. And some people they say, they ask me, oh, where all this information coming from? All the information sources are from Bhagavad Puran, Vaman Puran, Agni Puran, and finally you can also consult with Rig Veda, because many of the Rig Vedic mantras, Sama Vedic mantras, Yajur Vedic mantras have all this information. Names have not changed. Sometimes the names acquire new names. Like, for example, many names of places in Kurukshetra during the period of Mahabharata, which is supposed to be the very recent history, not very old, very recent history from a Vedic perspective, from our Hindu perspective. Our Hindu means everybody is a Hindu, by the way. And from our perspective is extremely recent. So we have to now, I'll get started. I'll share my screen and I'll take you to one place which has been in news. Many of you already know about it. So there is nothing I'm sharing or something which you may not know. But for some of you, it will be very shocking. So let me go to my favorite tool. I hope you can see my screen. If you can see my screen, just text me because there is no voice here, so I cannot show you. So you must have seen that I have highlighted a place, right? I've highlighted a place, Straya Mana. Now, and I'm going to, now there are, so Mount Meru is in here, right here. Hmm? And this area is called Uttar Kuru, and this is called Bhadrashva. And you see the river flows. If you deep down, and this side is Ketumal Varsha. Ketumal Varsha is where Shiv and Parvati's leelas happen. Many leelas happen on this side, and you will see the entire region is extremely. There's a desert here, desert on the south. This side is a desert, but most of the area north goes green and extremely cold. And the shaman population, shamans are the people, Siberian shamans I'm talking about, and I'm not going to go there. We'll cover that later on. Today's topic is not going to go there, so I'm going to stay focused here on this area. This entire region is majority shaman culture. Shaman means Vedic, because the Orthodox Church, whether it's a Russian Orthodox Church or Catholicism or even Christianism, they have really worked hard to undermine shaman cultures in Europe, in Russia, in Central Asia, in many places. In fact, the Islamic countries, also Turkey and other countries, have worked very much against shaman cultures. In fact, as if like they're working against themselves. And very shamefully, while destroying the shaman cultures, they are using the surname of shamans, Hindus. Khan is a Mongolian word for shaman, which means a sheep shepherd. And in India, some people connect it to Islam, which is totally not correct. It's like it's an insult on themselves as well as shaman people. So which we must know. There's a historical meaning here. We have to see that. Anyway, that is politics, and we are staying out of politics here. So, but academically, it's totally irrefutable terms people use actually. So this is, if you see the his map now, and I will point my marker here, that if you can see my screen, you can text me over there so that I know you are watching my screen. You're seeing my screen, right? Okay. And So my mouse is now, let me make the screen bigger. Mhm. So coming to the Google Earth. So if you see the mouse, my mouse over there, you can see the Mount Meru. On the left side is Tarayamena. And if I make the distance of this place, you will be shocked to see what I'm going to show you. And is 1600 miles towards the northeast. Okay, 1600 miles towards the northeast, northwest from Mount Meru area. Not very far, not very far. And if you look to the south, it comes to near, almost near, uh, uh, you can say it's Maharashtra, middle Maharashtra, Nagpur area, a little bit above, not even south Maharashtra, comes to that area. Okay, now I'm going to cut that. So not very far. It's central, very central. Now, the if I talk about it on the northwest side, the Kesarachal and then peak of Gandhamadan, then Bhadrashva reaches the salt ocean, and the second one goes to Malyavan mountain and cascades to Ketumal Varsha, and also reaches the ocean water in the west. And Bhadra goes towards the north. Now, if I s- start the now rivers change path. By the way, you should know that rivers change path, and I will go into the rivers which are coming from down, up, down, from the north to further south. By the way, the directions of north and east are very different in Vedic culture. In Vedic culture, when your nose points towards the sunrise, the bayan becomes the north, and dayan or dakshin becomes the right. That's the way to see the distances of the direction in the Vedic culture. So this is Staraya Maina, very famous, and it's a village. You can see the Volga River flowing through it, and it goes way up, down. Multiple rivers they merge together, and it goes to these mountain ranges. So Meru is right here, and these are the mountain ranges. And if you see, and these are the mountain ranges, these are the valleys, river basins. You can see my mouse, and the rivers are flowing south. There's some rivers flowing south, some rivers flowing, some rivers flowing north, some rivers flowing south. So when we talk about this one, this river Sraimana serves from west side towards from the Moscow, also from the east side. So both side it serves. Now we'll see the region much more closely now, this area, and then we'll go to the artifacts. All this information of river flows and the mountain ranges completely match the description of the Veda. Exactly. I can count them now, and I can tell you which mountain is where. And also, I have also been able to identify each mountain range and what is the next one, like Kesarachal. Kesarachal, all the mountains surrounding the Meru. And then you have Nila, Shringavan, all the different mountains in the north, and the west also there are different mountains. And we are only talking about Jambu Deep. Jambu Deep is this ocean, this land, Asia, which you call Asia, includes today's Europe. It's not a separate island. Includes, because Europeans like to create is everything separate, small nation states, and small everything small, mine. you know what is the nature of animals is like, they like to create small communities like this. Humanity is not supposed to live like that. Humanity is humanity. And if I remove the borders and the flags, this entire land belongs to humanity. And that's what Veda says, Isha Vasim idam sarvam yat kinchit jagatyam jagat tena taktena bhunjita magra kasya sutana. Very clearly it's mentioned there. Now, Arjun, in my earlier videos, you check out on Sattology, many videos you can check out. Arjun's travel to the north goes to all these different regions, and Arjun is traveling with a large force. And because the boundary, there was no stoppage on the boundary of Bharat. Even though Bharat Varsha has been identified as a region south of Himalaya, but still there is no boundary that people are barking against. There was free movement of Yudhishthira's troops, Yudhishthira Maharaj's troops, in the north, in the east, in the west, in the south. And it is very astonishing that wherever he went, he met many saintly people. And those people must be speaking a different language. It's understandable. And those people must be engaged in spiritual practices which may look different from the practices of Bharatvarsha, because the local practices may depend on the land, weather. There are many factors go into local practice. So when we look at Sanatana Dharma in different places, we have to look from a different standards, from the local perspective. So therefore, I always say avoid pure Hindu syndrome. Don't expect that everyone should be as pure as the Rig Vedic Brahman. That is a foolishness. That's how you will not be able to understand other cultures. So just generally, if you have more knowledge, then you need to be wiser, more accommodating, more accepting other people's also culture or seed. You may not adopt it, but you need to get into the depth of why. Why do you do some things? Why do you follow? These questions are important. We have been Hindus have been trained to answer questions to the Europeans. Only Europeans can ask questions. But you need to ask them also. Why do you eat with a fork? I mean, are your hands very unclean? Why do you need to eat a fork? Why monarchy has to be there in UK? And while UK abolished monarchy in other places, other parts of the world, why? Okay. And there are a lot of slave people who watched his coronation yesterday. I definitely don't care whether he gets coronated or not, because the karma is very bad. So dharma has a very unique way. It's either right or wrong. It's black and white. There are some gray areas, but dharma doesn't work that way. Some people describe dharma as gray. No, it's not gray. According to Veda, is dharma, against Veda is adharma. Very clear. Simple definition, and that is by Yamaduta. Now we'll go back to the Staraya Mana. Staraya Mana. Now, the word mana, I was researching on it. It comes from Mainak Mountain. Mainak Mountains means a place. And now this name can be very recent or derived from the ancient culture, but very strikes out. This name strikes out. Now going back to the village, and it's just the village we are talking about here. I'm talking about this entire region. This entire region will have, I mean, if the Russian government or whoever controls this land, I think Russian government controls this land, this entire region is so rich with ancient culture and ancient history. The entire region going right till the east here. And in fact, this is the basis of Kiev's history as well, because Kiev's history is Hindu. And unfortunately, the 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 defense ministry of Ukraine criticized Mother Kali, and Mother Kali is worshipped in an entire region here. There is no part of this earth where Mother Durga is not worshipped. I have proved that in my books also, and I am going to, in my new book is coming out. In that, you will see that Mother Kali is worshipped in every single part of the world. And when Mother Kali is there, Shivji is automatically there, because he's his consort. So here, this place is the cradle of civilization. I'm not talking about this place itself, I'm talking about this region. And this region is where Arjun had visited many times, and many temples were established by Arjun. Because wherever Arjun would go, he would defeat the forces, collect the taxes, and establish temples. Now we'll get into deep into that area. This geography you have to understand very much. And for those who are doing research and would like to join this Sattology, one tip I'll get to give you: follow the path of the river and go to the source wherever the river takes you, and go right to the source of that river. Because and there are a lot of places in the middle which are not checked, or references were not taken out. And most of the places of Vedic places will be located on the banks of rivers. It will be located on the banks of rivers. And one good thing about these places are the rivers have a very standard, there are no floods, no monsoon rains, no such things. Rivers have very standard flow. So most of the places of interest from the Vedic point of view will be intact in this region completely, right till the top, right till the source over there. The other places, especially in India and other countries, there can be floods and there can be places who are washed out. So that is not the case in this case of Russia and Central Asia. Now we'll go deep into that, and now you will see a very ancient, like from map is very difficult to show, but the cities established, or most of the small cities and villages are established near the temple sites, most of them. So, and since I told you the rivers are pretty much stable here, not so much change as compared to flooding of Dwarka, or river changes, path changes in India. Shona River, you can see the Shonabhadra, how much he has moved. It's a male. Shonabhadra, he has moved, or Mother Ganga, or Mother, different paths have changed significantly. Dishtavati mentioned in the Dishtadwati mentioned in Veda during in Kurukshetra has almost vanished, and but it is still there. You can see the towns which are established on Dishtavati. So this village alone has been the source of at least 25 to 30 different archa vigraha of Vishnu, Kali, Shiva, and other deities of in Veda, Staraya Minor. And and I will also tell you that there are villages here. These ones, Kashkareka, will sound very uh, like very Vedic or Hindu to you, but these places, and there's one more city here which I forgot to point out, which is on the source of this river. Uh, Let me go up further. I hope it will come soon. Yeah, Shuran, Omari, Sokolka, all these places. Now, this again a tributary. Shalanga, all these are tributaries. Many of these cities, especially which I was saying, Shuran, Sakoni, Omari, Sokolka, more Hindu deities are found. When you dig at least like as 30 feet, 40 feet, you'll start seeing the deities there. And most of them have not come into the light because those were destroyed, being set in by the local churches, Orthodox churches. And 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 not to speak of Russia, I'm talking about even in USA, there is no money spent on rediscovering the ancient culture of Native Americans, because they are scared that the Native Americans will ask their due from the settlers. That's why in America also no historical places are unearthed or talked about or being taught to anyone. They're scared of that there will be questioned, their occupation of USA will be questioned by the settler. And now it's a constitutional republic, but anyway. So don't blame them, don't blame anyone else. We have to stay out of politics and just talk about the what we search here and find here. Okay? So therefore, So all these different places have lots of proof of Hindu culture or Vedic culture or Sanatana Dharma. Because see, understand one thing, Shiva, Bhagwan Shiva is a devta for all. Durga Mata is a mother for all because they are the force behind the material creation. Even though Brahma is the engineer or creates facilities, but the humanity has come through them, or the animal world, another Manu, Shatrupa, they are all devotees of Shiva. Now the Vishnu is being worshipped by everybody. So therefore I say stay away from pure Hindu syndrome. That just because you have a bigger tilak or a more fancier dhoti or kurta or a more fancier sadri, that means you are a better person than it. It's better to follow instead of show. Just and the sign of an intelligent person is he follows whatever they can follow. Everybody has a limit to follow, but appreciates other persons who are doing something better. Okay, that becomes a role model so that you can also follow. So avoid pure Hindu syndrome that I'm better Hindu than you. That's not the way it works. Okay. Now, coming to Strayamana. Now, I told you different city names which researchers who are following Sattology or following my books can search actually and give me information. Now, coming to the proofs of the different deities, which is extremely important for us to know uh, because the whole thing is we need to know how these cultures reach there, and I'm going to take you exactly search you over there with the okay. So if you know, if you see my screen, and if you see my screen there, can you see my screen? Yeah, I think so. Okay, let me do that. Uh, just I have a problem in sharing here. So those of you can share the screen, I'll have to stop it and then share again. So while I'm sharing the screen and the yeah, here we go. So this is a very famous picture, which was it has been very common. It's a very old picture where Russia's Volga region during excavation, Staraya Maina, that's the place I named the name, Ulyanovsk region, and people say it was the older than Kiev, which is supposed to be the mother of all Russian cities. That's the Western definition, mother of all Russian cities. But if you look at Russia, then Russia, Kiev, Ukraine was a part of USSR, and for in 91 it was separated. In Russia, they had deep respect for Kiev, and today people may laugh at it, but ordinary Russian knows what is Kiev is considered as a source with a lot of respect for local Russians historically. And so whatever happened in the politically now because of many factors, you know, that is today's narrative. But traditionally, Kiev is always considered as a mother of all Russian cities. So there was a Vishnu statue was found there, and the if I look at the other history of this place, there are many other information from this place. There are other deities also found in that region. You will be now. I'll share the screen. It's this one. So you can keep looking at my right side. This is the Vishnu deity in Volga region, which was found, and in another Vishnu deity which was found. Not the this is not the one, and the these are the multiple facets of the deity which was found. And if I look at this, and 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 the striking feature of this deity of Vishnu which is found now, if I look at it, the it is the Varahadev, not the, it's called Varaha, which is lifting the earth. And you will be asking me why Dev deity is found over there. The history of Varahadev temple, history of Varahadev temple, if you look at Kurukshetra in India, Kurukshetra in India is the cradle of Sanatana Dharma. And the more I'm researching it, the more I am shocked. In fact, two Vishnu avatar, Hans avatar in Satyuga, sorry, three, Prithu Shaktavesh avatar in Satyuga, Varadev in Satyuga, all three appeared in Kurukshetra. So how would a Varaha Murti be found in Russia's Volga region? That answer is also given in Veda. In the Veda it is mentioned. Now, first of all, the entire directions are very wrongly explained by the European academics. The the shape of the earth is very wrongly described by the Europeans. The directions are wrongly set by the Europeans. And I'm not blaming them. I'm just saying, just because you're ignorant, don't impose your ignorance on others. So it's the problem of rest of the world which has not sufficiently questioned them. And for reason is the military and economic backlash by the Europeans. So Europeans are responsible for the world not able to question them also. And European poverty, we have already shown a lot in our shows in Sattology, that 16th century, 17th century, 15th century Europeans were so poor and so dirty, and we all know that what they did with women, and nowadays they're giving lectures on everything. Same thing they have done with the history, just to promote a radical Christianism ideology. They have undermined the native cultures of the world, and that has become the root cause of today's conflicts. So if we represent the culture in a proper way, there will be more peace and happiness. Because when we speak the truth, there is nothing to hide, and there cannot be any politics on truth. Politics is always on lies to divide people. That is the European word politics. Rajtantra or Rajaniti is based on truth, as explained by Bhagavan Krishna in Bhagavad Gita. Rajgoyam means the topmost secret, the secret of all secrets. Secret of all secrets is the underlying Vedic culture, a culture based on Atma or soul. Now, coming to the proofs only here, because that is important for you to know, or you to just see few things. Now, this is the Durga. If you look at the right picture on the screen, on the which appears to be right, this is the Durga, again found in the same village, Trayamana. Like I focused on that village because since 1856, we have consistently coming out from the same region. Now another one comes to statue of Lord Vishnu again and again in the same place, same region, coming there from the same place. On the right side again you see different Volga region, and these are from different villages. On the right side you see, and I give credit to all the people who are doing these images and they're publishing it. Unfortunately, their work is not known to people, and which is a very sad thing, not known to people. And the the reason why it is not known, because it is the duty of Ministry of Culture of India, because Ministry of Culture of India has locked itself with a cultural lock that they will not look outside India. Like the nation states were created by the Europeans to for themselves, so that they cut with the scale. Like we showed yesterday on the one show that how the scale was used to cut countries, and all those countries are fighting nowadays. Whimsically divided the land of India into Pakistan and Bangladesh. All European problems, and they're suffering also. They're going to go through it, and we want that the UK needs to be independent nations, Scotland independent. But this is what is happening. There's a pain in the heart of most of the colonized people. But Ministry of Culture of India has to think of Sanatana Dharma in a global way. These are all the different deities which are discovered in Russia's Volga region. You know, now the this deity, and now I also showed you the Vara deity also, Varadev deity also, but this deity particularly was found in the same village. So same village has Durga, same village as Shiva, same village as Vishnu, which is which is which gives proof that was a surviving Vedic civilization. And many of the churches are built on those foundations. Orthodoxy churches, Russian Orthodox churches, buildings are found. And same is the case with every single place, including Vatican, built on a before, built on a. If it is excavated, we should demand excavation. But unfortunately, natives have lost their voice. In Europe, Romanis have been hounded. In Russia, shaman have been hounded by people. In USA, Native Americans have been hounded, put into reservations. It's like glorified jails, and they can't do anything about it. So all these things are happening. But anyway, my video was there, chance. My purpose of my video was just to show, and I'm going to go more specific into the same Volga region. Now, one thing which is left, which is also come in. There are other books also. Many books are there. Many esoteric diagrams, architectures are found in Russia. And some people may say, what are those features? But I tell you one thing, sometimes we cannot do research on the basis of like a blind faith, where we in just because there are, just to say that everything is Hindu or Vedic without understanding it. So I have devised a methodology, and I'm saying it publicly for anyone to follow. I follow three things, which is the food, bhojan, bhasha, puja paddhati. Food, language, and the method of worship. On these three bases, I analyze a civilization. And I'll tell you one funny story. So when I went to the one university, and I asked the archaeological department that what is the culture of natives, and they said no. And this happened twice in two different universities, and they did not know that. They did not have the parameters to study, and they came out with a whole book on how they everything was European. And I said, where is your original thought? And then I simplified it. I said only three things anyone has to study. One is the food, one is the language, and the third is the method of worship. Not what they worship or who they worship, that is not important. Method of worship. If you study any culture based on these three parameters and apply Rig Vedic mantra, because Rig Veda is the Rig Veda, Sam, Yajur, and Atharva, all four came at the same time. Any Vedic mantra you take or prayer, in English it's called prayer, in Sanskrit it's called mantra, because mantra, ayatiti mantra, prayer means just give me a daily bread. That is like a which is a which is not a prayer at all. It's like begging. You don't, Bhagwan doesn't want you to beg in front of him. Okay, so he provides everything free. Why you want to beg for food? So these mantra are there, and based on the mantra you can understand how people are worshiping, and that's how I analyze the cultures. So that makes it more scientific, more acceptable research, and that also is respectful also to people whom you try to study. And that's how you build common bonds without hurting them, or without unnecessarily going and saying, oh, you were a Hindu before. That doesn't work. If somebody tells me and says, oh, you are this and that, no, I am who I am, right? We are. So I'll stop here, and I think I can go on and on this topic. And you can suggest me more if you want to do it. Give me a suggestion. I'll be happily do this more research for you, and for me too, for my new book. So I'll take some questions now. So I will. The old Sanatan is undeniable. Thank you, Tarish Kaushik. Do become a member, all of you, and help us. Sattology, do research on these topics. So all of you should become a member. And then Icha Bliss, Cosmic Bliss. Thank you very much. And thank you so much, Icha Bliss. And the conspiracy theories, definitely not conspiracy theories if you watch the whole show. And the Kanchi Paramarya had a section ran rishis. So that is true to some ways. But again, I get in. I told you before also, Mayaji, that and Mayaji is our great supporter. Thank you always, Mayaji. You give always get good comments. Uh, so I don't get into the rush language transformation, word transformation, because Sanskrit is the mother of all languages. And Devanagari is the mother of all scripts. The most, in fact, all the European languages must kick aside the Roman letters and just use Devanagari. It's the most complete writing form. Shilaji, thank you. Namaskar, very much. Thank you very much. Uh, Anto were originally inhabited by Finno-Ugric, Mari, Moksha, Komi peoples. Correct. Very good. Thank you. These are the shamanic people. And to Anto for sharing that. Thank you very much. Srinivas Rao, your research. I'll share this with my Russian friend. Thank you very much. गुड चैनल रशिया भी इंडिया का है ग्रेट चैनल मतलब रशिया भी इंडिया का ही है दैट वी नेवर सेड इट अनिल शर्मा जी okay that we never said it and we are not we just focus on shastra we never said it in fact Sanatan Dharma is the culture of the planet Earth. If you want to hear me more accurately, Sanatan Dharma is the original culture. Anyone who is not following Sanatan Dharma has created their own culture, which is not with the goes with the ethos of the land on which they live. I hope you can take it to your home. This sentence. The A genuine puzzle is how they built all those large churches, cathedrals in Europe. It was total dark. Most of those churches and cathedrals in Europe in 12th, 13th centuries, no. Most of the cathedrals started coming in 15th or 16th century, 14th century, some are 12th century also. I know one or two. And they came on excessive reutilization of Roman churches, Roman Catholic. Like the Pantheon in Rome was converted into a church. Pantheon had 12 Roman gods. They replaced 12 Roman gods with 12 popes, humans. So Roman gods were also mythological and they converted them with 12 popes. And those popes had not a good history. Most of the popes had never had a good history. And the same thing happened in the Middle East also, North Africa also. They could not destroy the pyramids in Egypt. Otherwise, they would have done it. So just it was too big for them to destroy. So there will be some symbols. So most of the North Africa was a natural culture, like land culture of the land. Berber Jati. Berber Jati is the name given in Veda. Veda. If you see the Veda, Veda has global information, and uh, and the many of the cultures local Abhira Janjati. Abhira is a very common name used for nomadic people. Abhira. So Arab was known as a tribal region and Arabic region. And the funniest part is Pakistanis call themselves Arabic nowadays. They were Hindus before. I should do a show on that. There, more than 1,000 temples are there, and so they built on Roman cultures, Greek ones. Greek and Romans built magnificent structures. Most of the structures built on top of them, and they had the knowledge. Christians, the only even I was reading the book of Norman Davies, and just for some references, I don't read such books, but references. There is nothing. Even the prayers in Christianity are not Christian. They're coming from Greeks actually, or shaman prayers. Uh, the Romani. Well, Romanis, they moved out of India for some reasons, and they went through that. Understand one thing: every part of the world has similar skills of architecture because they bring all those skills from past karma. So every part of the world has engineers, every part of the world has brahmins or teachers, every part of the world has workers or business people. It's not that the whole migration theory created by Europeans is, migration does happen, but generally that everything is migrated. Like Europeans say they are the children of Genghis Khan. How is it possible? Genghis Khan looked Mongolian. How do Europeans look Mongolian? And then Europeans say that we are from Africa. So whatever Europeans say, they are saying it for themselves. Rest of the world has to stop taking them so seriously. They can't even manage their own countries. They regularly destroy their own countries. 1945 they destroyed last. Now they destroyed Ukraine. Now slowly they'll come back to United States. So you have to don't take them seriously. Give them the place they deserve, not what they expect. So, and believe me, we are politically totally neutral. No, Romanis did not contribute. Every place is unique. So please do support us and do join us. And I think we are going over the hour, 4 minutes less. And get my books of Sattology on Amazon and Barnes and Nobles in USA or in India through Prabhat Prakashan or through Kapoth.in. You can get it. Prabhat Prakash and Kapoth, they work together. Also, there is a lot of things to be done. If you join us, join our courses. There are courses happening, 12 is debunking mythology course, and also transcending the mind experience for corporates. Also, we have started, and so you can join those courses also whenever you have a time. And in your small businesses and communities in Bay Area or any other part of the United States, we'll be happy to host those programs in your campuses. So I'll stop here if no one has any questions, and we will come back next Sunday with another similar topic on history. Till then, namaste and have a wonderful day. One thing I forgot, that if you are joining Sattology Lit Fest, Krishna Lit Fest, do let me know. Special autograph sessions with many authors which regularly come on Sattology show. Namaste.